Imagine this. The world is watching, the energy markets are shaking, and in the middle of all the noise stands India, a rising giant, making bold moves that are catching the attention of every major power. In 2025, the India-Russia Oil Alliance has become one of the most talked about subjects in global geopolitics. For some, it's a master-stroke energy lifeline that secures India's future growth. For others, it's a dangerous gamble, one that could invite sanctions, strain old partnerships, and put India at the center of a geopolitical storm. But what is the real story behind this oil alliance? What does it mean for India's economy, its foreign policy, and its long-term strategy? And most importantly, is this alliance a boon that will power India into the next stage of development? Or is it a gamble that could backfire on the world's largest democracy? Tonight, we will dive deep into this issue, unpacking the facts, the fears, and the future of this oil-soaked partnership. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you could very well shape the way you look at India's role in the 21st century world order. Let's begin with the context. Over the last few years, Russia has found itself increasingly isolated on the global stage due to Western sanctions, especially after the Ukraine war. The United States and the European Union imposed heavy restrictions on Russian oil, cutting Moscow's access to its traditional buyers. And yet, in the middle of this crisis, India stepped up as a major purchaser of Russian crude. Discounted oil, sometimes up to 30% cheaper than global prices, flowed steadily to Indian refineries. For a country like India, where rising fuel prices can directly impact inflation, industry, and the daily lives of hundreds of millions of people, this was not just a smart economic move, was a survival strategy. By 2023 and 2024, Russia had become one of India's top oil suppliers, even overtaking countries in the Middle East. And in 2025, this relationship has evolved from simple buying and selling into something bigger, something more strategic, something that is now being called the India-Russia Oil Alliance. But alliances are never built on economics alone. Behind every deal is a story of power, trust, and risk. For Russia, India is not just a buyer, it's a bridge to global legitimacy. By selling oil to India, Moscow shows the world that it cannot be isolated, that even under sanctions, it has powerful friends willing to trade. For India, Russia is not just a supplier, it's leverage. In negotiations with the West, in balancing China's growing clout, and in ensuring that the lights stay on and the engines keep running, Russian oil gives India options. And in geopolitics, options are everything. But is there such a thing as too much dependence? That's where the gamble begins. Think about it. On one side, India's economy is booming, industries are thriving, and affordable Russian oil is fueling growth at a time when the world is still struggling with inflation. On the other side, India's growing closeness with Moscow raises eyebrows in Washington, Brussels, and Tokyo. The United States, India's strategic partner in the Indo-Pacific, has made it clear that it wants to cut Russia's energy revenue. The European Union has gone even further, trying to enforce a price cap and pressuring countries to comply. Every barrel of oil that sails from Russian ports to India's shores is not just an economic transaction, it's a geopolitical statement. And that statement reads, India will do what is in India's national interest, no matter what the West thinks. This is why some call it a boon and others call it a gamble. From the boon perspective, let's look at the numbers. By securing cheap Russian crude, India saves billions of dollars annually on its import bill. That money can be redirected into infrastructure, healthcare, education, and defense. For a country aiming to become the world's third largest economy, such savings are priceless. Moreover, energy security is the foundation of growth. Without stable oil supplies, industries slow down, transport costs rise, and inflation eats away at progress. Russia has given India not only stability but also bargaining power. When India negotiates with Middle Eastern suppliers, it now has an alternative. When it sits across the table from Western powers, it can point to its energy independence. In short, the oil alliance boosts India's confidence, strengthens its hand, and ensures that no one can dictate terms to New Delhi. But here comes the gamble. What if sanctions tighten further? What if secondary sanctions are imposed on countries buying Russian oil? Already, some Indian banks and shipping companies have faced scrutiny. Insurance for oil tankers carrying Russian crude has become complicated. Transactions often require creative routes, using third-party intermediaries or alternative currencies. The more India deepens its oil partnership with Moscow, the more it risks entanglement in the financial and legal web spun by Western sanctions. And while India is too big to be bullied easily, it is not immune to pressure. The West may not want to alienate India, but it also cannot ignore the optics of one of its key Indo-Pacific partners fueling Russia's war economy. The question is, how long can India walk this tightrope before someone forces a choice? Now, let's consider the bigger picture. The oil alliance is not just about barrels and dollars, it's about strategy. For years, India has prided itself on strategic autonomy. It refuses to be a junior partner to any power, East or West. During the Cold War, India balanced ties between Moscow and Washington. In the 21st century, it seeks to do the same, this time with even higher stakes. On one hand, India partners with the United States in defense, technology, and the Indo-Pacific strategy aimed at countering China. On the other, it continues to buy weapons and oil from Russia, maintaining an old friendship that dates back decades. This balancing act is both India's greatest strength and its greatest challenge. The oil alliance with Russia highlights just how carefully India must play its cards. For China, the India-Russia oil partnership is a puzzle. Beijing itself is a major buyer of Russian oil, but it also sees India as a competitor for influence in Asia. The more Russia leans on India, the more China wonders about its own leverage. Could India and Russia grow so close that it disrupts China's plans for dominance in Eurasia? Or could Moscow's dependence on Beijing outweigh anything India can offer? For the West, the puzzle is even sharper. Can America and Europe accept India's oil deals with Russia as the price of partnership in Asia? Or will there come a breaking point where patience runs out? These are not questions with easy answers, but they reveal why this alliance is far more than just economics. It is a test of India's diplomatic agility. Let's not forget the domestic dimension. For ordinary Indians, cheap fuel means affordable transport, lower inflation, and better living standards. Politically, this matters. No government in India can survive if fuel prices skyrocket. By securing Russian oil, Modi's government not only strengthens the economy, but also secures political stability. This makes the alliance not just an international strategy, but also a domestic necessity. Critics may call it a gamble, but supporters will argue it as simply good governance, putting the needs of Indian citizens above the demands of foreign powers. Still, the risks cannot be ignored. Energy dependence on any single partner is dangerous. What if Russia itself faces internal instability? What if geopolitical shocks disrupt supply routes? What if the discounts shrink and India finds itself locked into deals that no longer serve its interests? The gamble lies not only in Western sanctions, but also in overestimating Russia's ability to remain a reliable supplier under pressure. So where does this leave us? In 2025, the India-Russia Oil Alliance stands as both a symbol of India's rise and a test of its resilience. It shows the world that India will not be dictated to, that it will chart its own path, that it will do what is necessary for its growth. But it also exposes India to new risks, new pressures, and new uncertainties. Is it a boon or a gamble? Perhaps it is both. In geopolitics, every boon carries the seed of a gamble, and every gamble carries the possibility of a boon. What matters is how skillfully India navigates the challenges ahead. As we move forward, keep watching this space. The ships carrying Russian oil to Indian ports are more than just vessels of energy. They are symbols of a new world order in the making. Will this alliance power India into its rightful place as a global leader, or will it drag the nation into a storm it cannot control? That, my friends, is the trillion-dollar question. And as always in geopolitics, the answer will not come in headlines or sound bites, but in the slow, steady unfolding of history. India has placed its bet. Russia has placed its trust. And the world is watching to see if this bold partnership becomes the energy boon of the century or the geopolitical gamble of a lifetime.